Thanks, Alex, for joining in.
Happy to be here.
For our audience, we do a show in which we talk to industry experts and talk about blockchain and crypto. We try and explain from basics. We try and explain from various different angles what crypto is all about and how it can be the future. So that's the aspect which we take. And in that series, we welcome you as our next guest.
Thank you. And I would just say that Bitcoin is the future, not crypto, not blockchain. Very important distinction.
Well, exactly. And that's why we would really want your views about Bitcoin. And if you, for our audience, can you just give us a quick background about yourself and what you are involved in the Bitcoin space? And then we will take the conversation from there.
Sure. So my career is in human rights. I've been working in the human rights field since 2007. And for close to 15 years, I've been working with people around the world, especially in authoritarian countries, people who don't have the same rights and freedoms as I might have here in the US. And we've been doing different kinds of activities to help them, whether that's through bringing them to events in the West to help them tell their story, going to them and producing events in Asia, Latin America, and Africa to help them connect with others, giving them technology that can help empower them, helping them understand how to use encryption, other kinds of digital security tools, helping them understand how to fundraise, how to market better, basically just providing like a full service support network for dissidents and activists under authoritarian regimes, and also doing what we can on our end to educate people about why tyranny is bad, why freedom is good, and essentially also doing some research and legal advocacy to help folks who are in trouble.
Okay, and that's very interesting. And when did you start working with Bitcoin in this space? Yeah,
about 5 years ago, I started really getting into Bitcoin and understanding how it's linked to freedom. So for a lot of people around the world, a press release does them no good. Like that, they're stuck in a very difficult situation. And there's only so much our words can do to help them, right? But open source technology is capable of reaching them. So in the same way that these people now can use things like VPNs and apps like Signal to communicate privately, that's a really achievable step forward. I mean, that is progress in a small way, right? That is real progress. And we in the human rights community should continue to do what we do and push and push and push. But at the end of the day, we have to realize that pushing only goes so far. People need to do it themselves, and they need the tools to do it themselves. I think encrypted messaging is one of those things. Privacy is very important. Obviously, in the context of India as well, and there's been incredible encroachments on people's freedoms and digital liberties, of course, as we know. But Bitcoin is really something interesting because it really gives people financial freedom. I mean, it gives people the ability to acquire an asset that cannot be debased by government and that they can control, that they don't need to rely on a foreign power or a colonial power or some bank or corporation. They don't need to have that relationship. They can own their value through math and through cryptography, and they can do it, on their local device. And they can back that value up and they can accumulate that value and they can have that independent savings account. I mean, this is not really something that's ever been possible before. I mean, up to this point, people usually have had to rely on commodities like cattle or sheet metal, or maybe gold to store value over time, to store your wages and time and energy. Or, they would rely on fiat money, which of course is, loses value. I mean, it loses purchasing power every year and can be demonetized, as of course you all have seen, meaning the government can just say, oh, these denominations are not no longer valid. You have a year to turn them in, and after that they're done and they're illegal or whatever. So a lot of countries have gone through demonetizations. Every country has gone through inflation, of course. But a lot of countries have gone through really intense inflation, which is just theft, essentially. So Bitcoin protects against that. And at the end of the day, that's a big revolutionary concept, idea, and action.
Yeah, so this is very interesting. You touch upon many points here, and I'm very intrigued, and I'm sure our audience is very intrigued as well. But we'll take examples and try and understand it a little bit more. Have you seen in your 5 years of work? Have you seen some people benefiting in these countries or economies by using Bitcoin? Give us some examples.
Yeah, I mean, massively, both like on the individual sense in terms of me interacting with people, interviewing dozens of people, but also just in the metrics. Like if you look at the data. Now, there needs to be more work done in this area. We have a poor understanding in the Western media of Bitcoin use in emerging markets. Bitcoin is usually described as something evil in the West. I mean, it's described as something useless or evil or bad for criminals, terrorists. It's boiling the oceans. It's too volatile. Stay away from it. That's what our media has actually said about this incredible tool, which is actually going to help people, which really frustrates me to the end of the earth. I'm very upset by this because they are gaslighting a nation, many nations of people who really could empower themselves by using this thing. And we're going to learn about that in the next decade. Everybody's going to learn about this. But really, the media has done a tremendous disservice by attacking Bitcoin in this way. And it's not like there's a conspiracy. It's not like there's someone behind the scenes pulling the strings. It's just a general lack of understanding, lack of an open mind, arrogance, and just a disbelief that this could happen. Just a disbelief. But at the end of the day, like I've interviewed people who fled from Syria, from Venezuela, people still inside countries like Iran or Nigeria who are using this thing to escape, like a broken system. And look at the numbers. I mean, look at India. There's, according to a recent interview with some of the exchange operators, there's 6 million Bitcoin hodlers in India. 6 million, and out of a community of probably more than 10 million, they say, general cryptocurrency users. And we're talking 6 million people who are just saving in Bitcoin, right? And I understand the tremendous history that gold has in Indian culture in different ways. I mean, I believe that in the next 20 years, Bitcoin is going to take most of that value. There will, of course, still be ornamental value to gold, but it will not be used as a tribute, really, or as a store of value, or as a alternative to real estate. All that value will go to Bitcoin. And all of these families that use gold today, millions of families where gold still plays an important part. As far as it's a store of value, all that's going to Bitcoin. And I think that's something that's very important to understand.
No, we get it. We're on the same page. But do you also think that where you mentioned about a point about Western media, and a lot of media is talking negatively about Bitcoin, banks talking negatively about Bitcoin?
Well, not just Western media, dude, your media too. And so media, right? Chinese media, everybody's media. Everybody.
So media is media, right? So nowadays, everyone reads all different kinds of media. So it's not only Western and so that's a wrong one to say. But do you think it's because Bitcoin is challenging what they are doing, or they're
yes, like no, it's two reasons. Number one, it's challenging, like it's bizarre, it's strange, and that's a challenge, and it's something you actually have to work at to understand. It is not just like you can't just look at it and understand it. You have to put in years of work to properly start to grok this thing. And some reporters have been very good. Okay, I don't want to generalize completely, but the overwhelming majority of reporters have been lazy, and they have not fully understood what Bitcoin is doing to the world. The other thing is that, yes, it challenges the existing system. And that's where you might start getting into conspiracy theories and stuff. Because like at the end of the day, I believe most of these reporters are independent. They're not like working for the central bank. But there is this like narrative from governments and from the powers that be. They're worried about Bitcoin for different reasons. Okay.
Sorry, I was just saying, I also think that some of these media talk negative because I think talking negative gives them more press.
Of course.
Than talking positive.
but that's okay. They're going to have to live with that regret that they helped fool people. I mean, to get clicks. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, there are people out there in my country who aren't connected to the banking system, or who are discriminated against based on the color of their skin, and that has prevented them from getting the same financial access as white people in my country. And we're like an advanced democracy over here. Okay, so now think of what's going on in like China or Saudi Arabia or Qatar, where, I mean, we're talking the whole Gulf is built on slavery of South Asians who come over and are enslaved to build the, World Cup stadiums and all this bullshit, right? So, I mean, we're talking about real slavery out there. And, this is a way for people who don't have those documents to receive funding. All you need is a phone. So you're in the kafala system and you live in Sri Lanka or the Philippines, and you're going to work in some slave apparatus in Qatar or the Emirates or Saudi. Hey, man, if you've got your phone, I can send you value. You can earn Bitcoin. You can control it without the authorities knowing. I think that's pretty cool, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it is spectacular. But I'll touch upon a couple of other points as well, because I want to really hear about your perspective. I mean, a lot of times, and I want to remove the disbelief. So I want to hear your side and your voice about this. A lot of people talk about Bitcoin to be an asset where you can save on tax, you can prevent paying taxes. So that's one thing which comes a lot of times about Bitcoin. What do you think about that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, virtually all crime is done with the fiat system today. And an analysis, even by financial surveillance companies, that was done recently, which was recently shared by a former acting director of the FBI, I think, or maybe it was the CIA. Anyone, someone in the intelligence community in the United States shared a report recently. His name's Michael Moran. You can look him up. It's by Chain Analysis, which is a company I do not like because these people are spies. But basically, they say that Bitcoin crime use is like microscopic. Okay. And you know what? Like for most people in the world today, the way that they use Bitcoin, it would be kind of hard to evade taxes. I'll explain. Most people and institutions buy Bitcoin from KYC regulated services. Now, it's not ideal, but it's the reality of the world. The overwhelming bulk of Bitcoin is purchased in a regulated way where the government knows like that you're not hiding. Okay. I think in the same way that we've always had an informal economy, a cash economy, very important in India, of course, people who don't have the right documents, that will subsist and that will continue with Bitcoin in the digital world. We'll still have that informal economy, but it's not a negative. I mean, it's not going to make more criminals. Yeah. We're still, in my opinion, we'll still have humans are good. Overwhelmingly, humans are good people who want to, abide by the laws and help others. And that's just human nature. Some people are bad. It's not going to Bitcoin's not going to change human nature in that way. There will still be criminals, of course. But from the data we have today, the percentage of people using Bitcoin that are criminals is way lower than the percentage of people using the fiat system who are criminals. Yeah. So that's kind of, those are the facts we have right now. As we move into the future, we don't know what's going to happen. But for me, the important thing to remember is that the biggest criminals are not people down the street. They're the governments themselves and corporations. Okay, so we're talking about the Chinese Communist Party or HSBC, which was like laundering billions of dollars to all kinds of criminals around the world through the Mexican drug cartels to the Russians and all kinds of stuff. And they barely got in trouble. Okay, so we live in a world of immunity. These people never get in trouble for anything. So finally, we have a level playing field where everybody gets like the best asset in the world. This is like the big piece is like the current system is rigged and corrupt. Like the people at the top, they game the system. They get the insider edge. In Bitcoin, we call it the Cantillon effect. Like if you're close to the money spigot, you can benefit more than people who are farther away, right? So all of a sudden, we now have a new money system where everybody's equal before the law. It does not ensure equality of outcome. This is not some sort of redistributionist scheme at all. In fact, it really opposes that. But what it does do is it provides like the same system for everybody, regardless of whether you're the US with the petrodollar or the Chinese or the Indian government, these big, powerful governments. They are no more powerful to the network than the littlest person. And I think that that's a fascinating thing to think about.
And do you mean this conversation keeps coming when we talk about Bitcoin a lot, that there will not be any sanctions. We will have an era where you can't put sanctions on countries. because you can't put sanctions on Bitcoin. Do you think that, and that is actually a very powerful statement, right?
Yeah, so it is true that money becomes unstoppable with Bitcoin. But sanctions are a layered process. So I'm a big supporter of something called smart sanctions on individuals. Okay. This is done through something called the Magnitsky Act. I very much oppose on moral grounds broad-based sanctions against countries. I think that like starves and harms people. Like the embargo, Cuba, Iraq, Iran. I really dislike these things. But if you know that this like government official in this country has murdered or done something terrible, okay, so let's sanction them specifically. It doesn't need to all be about money. I mean, you can, and again, there's Bitcoin, but then there's like the world around you. Like you can prevent them from opening KYC services in your country. You can prevent them from sending their kids to Harvard or to some good school in your country. You can prevent them from buying land in your like. There's still things that we can do to punish bad people. It just prevents us at the bottom base layer from doing like mass surveillance and having total control. Yes, that is what it prevents. But with good investigative police work and specific targeted sanctions, we can still very much punish the bad guys. There's no question.
Yeah. Do you think, I mean, the concept, the thing what you're talking about makes all sense, but do you think that Bitcoin is robust enough for technology, or there's going to be some more innovation on top of it, which will actually
it is very robust. I mean, look, we just saw, I mean, in the last few months, we've seen, I mean, even just let's go back 5 years, okay? Yeah. When Bitcoin was much weaker, by the way, thermodynamically. Of course, its network security comes from the amount of mining that's being done on it. So back in the spring of 2017, a bunch of Chinese billionaires and Silicon Valley corporations tried to attack Bitcoin. They tried to hijack it. They tried to increase the block size and turn it more into like a centralized payment network as opposed to a freedom technology. And they failed, even though they had 83% of all the hash power, millions of users and all these different things, huge amount of Bitcoin on their side in terms of the actual percentage of the amount of Bitcoin. And they failed because Bitcoin's not run in that way. It is not, you can't do a coup d'etat. It is run by the users. Like I run a Bitcoin node at home. I am Bitcoin. I get to decide what blocks are valid and what software I'm going to run. And I'm not going to run software that increases the block size. I'm sorry. And there's millions of people like me. So Bitcoin is extremely resistant to attacks. It is also resistant to government regulation through what I call a Trojan Horse Effect. So governments have tried to ban their citizens from using fiat to exchange into Bitcoin. The Indian government tried. It was ruled as unconstitutional. They're trying again. But I mean, it's not so easy. Chinese government tried. They failed. Pakistani government tried. Completely failed. Usage has exploded in that country. Nigerian government tried, they failed. Really, when you try to do like draconian restrictions like that, two things happen. People move into peer-to-peer marketplaces or OTC marketplaces. And number two, you have the Streisand effect. So this is like when you say something, when you're like, oh, we want to get rid of this thing. And everybody's like, whoa, what is that thing? I want to learn more. So you end up popularizing the very thing that you want to get rid of, right? And at the end of the day, it's been very hard for governments to like control or stop their people from using this thing. It's failed. Obviously, we are now at like 200 million users and we're going up to 1 billion users and there's nothing they can do about it. But the more interesting thing is the Trojan Horse Effect, which is that governments themselves, corporations, the wealthy, they are starting to understand the value proposition of Bitcoin as a store of value technology. They're starting to really understand it and start to buy it, and they're getting into Bitcoin. So it's like a virus that infects the elite. So in my country, the virus has been unleashed. We have a Bitcoiner in the Senate Banking Committee. Yeah. We have Bitcoiners in the Congress. We have a Bitcoiner at the SEC. I mean, we've got Bitcoiners on Wall Street. We got the Trojan horse is inside the city walls. Like it's not, you can't get it out. There's too much protections in my country. So while in dictatorships, there might be these draconian crackdowns, they're not very effective. And in free countries, at least in the United States, it's too late for any sort of stopping. And the network is too resilient and it's too decentralized.
Yeah. But what about, from a technology perspective, what about the transaction speed and fees? Do you think that?
Yeah, I think the really important thing to understand is that Bitcoin is not a competitor to Visa. Bitcoin is a competitor to the petrodollar, to like the very reserve currency of our earth right now. That's what Bitcoin competes with. So at the end of the day, it's really it's competing with, in history, gold and the US dollar, and Bitcoin's next. I mean, we're talking like the substructure of the entire world financial system. That's what Bitcoin is competing with, not Visa. I mean, Visa sits on top of the banking system, which sits on top of the dollar system. Like, Visa is not a comparison to Bitcoin. Lightning Network might be a better comparison to Visa, from a Bitcoin point of view. Like, what you need to understand is that Bitcoin transactions are going to get very expensive in dollar terms over the next decade. I would imagine that even in 2 or 3 years, they might, we'll see. There's some improvements that can be done, but look, the dollar is also decreasing in value. I wouldn't be surprised that by the end of the decade, fees are many hundreds of dollars to do a fee on the main chain, and the average user won't use the main chain. The main chain is going to be like a settlement layer network for big institutions, or when you really need that final settlement property. It'll be like this batched thing. When people like are spending Bitcoin or doing small transactions or doing small buys or whatever in the future, they're all going to be on Lightning, is my belief. I think people are going to be born into this second layer, which has really interesting assurances. You can use it non-custodially. It is way better than Visa in terms of like it's instant and it's very private and it's final settlement. It's not like Visa where, oh, you have to like wait for some sort of thing. No, it's like, boom, it's final. Okay. It's global, it's borderless, it's permissionless. You don't have to have ID to use Lightning. Lightning is amazing. So, I mean, I really think, people have mocked it for being slow. It's not good enough. It's too hard to use. Just give it some freaking patience. Like, this thing is taking off. It takes time. It's really tough technology to scale to usability, but people are making it happen. In the next 2 years, you're really going to see this. Like, Lightning apps on phones are going to be awesome. So, at the end of the day, though, you got to understand that even Lightning has to be, if properly used, there has to be an element of, you have to be custodying it yourself. So, there's probably not going to be in the near future like a fully, non-custodial all on my phone. You kind of need to tie it to something. And currently, that means you have to run a node at your house or trust somebody else. But people are working on technology to allow that node to get smaller and smaller and smaller, and hopefully it's just something that you can kind of easily do. But the idea is that, like, at the end of the day, you can use Lightning in the future without running a node in a non-custodial way, and I think that's the future that we want here.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of technologists are working to solve that problem. I do think that still there is the usability issue still. Like, for example, we do talk about people from these authoritarian countries. It's difficult for them to own a Bitcoin or have a non-custodial wallet. It's still complicated, right? It's still those things have to be.
I mean, not that complicated. I mean, today, like, if you look at like a Moon wallet or a Blue wallet, if you put Lightning aside, Lightning is the complicated piece because of the way that it needs to work with channels. Bitcoin itself is pretty freaking easy, man. It uses a QR code. I mean, we shouldn't think so lowly of our fellow human. Like, it's not that hard to use Bitcoin. Like, it's no different than Instagram or Twitter or any other app you install on your phone. I mean, the apps are extremely easy to use these days. The thing that makes it slightly more challenging is that, you do want to control your Bitcoin and back it up. So therefore, usually that entails writing down a bunch of words. And then storing them. Okay, well, that's the cost of owning your own Bitcoin. You want to be the backup. But there are some apps that are making that even easier, actually, with different techniques. This is all just going to improve. I mean, again, we're like in the early 90s here of the internet or the phone for this technology. It's going to get so much better. We're in dial-up, we're like connecting on the it's like, oh, it's not working. It takes like
We've seen that,
That's where we are. And it's like, oh, I have to have this huge computer to like do anything, or this huge phone, which like sucks and is very expensive. It's kind of where we are. And like in 10 years, it's going to be so much better.
So I know we're just at the end of the time. So I'm going to ask you one bold, and I don't need a price prediction, but I want you to give a A prediction about Bitcoin. I don't talk about price prediction. Give me a prediction about Bitcoin in the next 5, 10. Where is it going?
I'm not going to give you a price prediction, but I'll give you a user prediction.
Yes, I don't want a price prediction. Correct.
All right. I'll give you a prediction about the users. So I think that by 2025, there will be 1 billion users of Bitcoin.
Yeah, may there be faster.
Today, it's 200 million. So I think we're going to go up 5x in the next 2.5 years. 3.5 years. Yeah.
Good. No, that's great. So that helps. Look, with that, we come to the end of the show. It was great chatting with you, Alex. You have a completely different perspective. A lot of blockchain or decentralization people may not 100% understand or agree, but hey, you have a very, very interesting and unique perspective. We respect, and I think we learned a lot. And I'm sure.
Thank you. And I'll just say the reason I'm not passionate about these other technologies is that they're similar to fiat currencies. There's a small group of people in control of all these other altcoins. And that's what we're escaping from with Bitcoin through proof of work and full nodes. We have a new system that's not controlled by anybody, where the issuance is not manipulatable, where we all know it's going to be 21 million. And that's publicly something that we can all talk about. And that is not something that a small group of people can modify behind closed doors, which is the way the world works right now. So, I mean, in the world system now, the people don't get to make decisions about the money. They just have to suffer the consequences. So we're flipping that on its head. And that's why I think Bitcoin is so important for human rights and for the world. So thank you for having me on.
And interestingly, today's date, just mentioning, it has double 21. It's 421.21. So Bitcoin 421 million. Cheers. On that note, we'll stop.
All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.